Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today's episode is about how change comes when you recognize the way you make others feel. My guest this week is Angel Akpovi, and she is Miss Teen Nigeria UK and an activist working with different organizations to make change. I was so excited to speak with Angel and to learn more about her work, so now I'm looking forward to sharing her story with you too. Without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Angel Akpovi.
Hi everyone, my name's Angel Akpovi. I just want to say thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I'm really excited to talk about some of the youth activism that I've been doing. My name's Angel. I'm from Nottingham, but I'm originally from Nigeria. I currently won the Miss Teen Nigeria UK pageant and I'm the reigning queen. And that's just been an amazing experience. Like doing a pageant is just incredible. And I'd really encourage it to any young people out there. Other than that, I'm on the Nottinghamshire Youth Commission and the Fair Education Alliance Youth Steering Group, and I also do volunteering in various sectors.
That is a great way to get started, and I am super excited to learn more about all of this work that you've been doing. Can you tell me about what inspired you to get started with your activism?
Yeah, so I think as a child, I've always been, I guess, the child who's always been activating against injustice. When I was in primary school, I was in the Agent for Change, and I think it was Agents Against Racism. So I was always, I guess, like interested in that area field. But I think it was things that I saw growing up, such as the knife crime in my area or racism that I personally experienced in secondary school. And then also, something that I didn't mention is that last year I was actually a model and a brand ambassador for the Dress Studio UK, which is currently the #1 dress store in UK. And for me, doing that was amazing because I was able to be a role model to other like young Black girls around there, and like also young ethnic minority girls who may feel that because of, I guess, different standards and beauty standards that we are not able to be like brand ambassadors and role models. So that was really important for me, and because of the racism I experienced, that really allowed me to, I guess, like feel more encouraged when I was able to get the opportunity to apply for more things. And I guess the more empowered I felt, the more opportunities that I applied for. And then I ended up, winning Miss Teen Nigeria UK and applying for various other youth councils. So that's, yeah, my journey.
I think that is such a great story, and I love how you are really being this person that you might not have seen when you were growing up. I think it's really inspiring to hear that. So, can you also tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to participate in the Miss Teen Nigeria UK pageant? What has that process been like for you to participate and then, of course, win the title?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a scary experience. It's something that I'd actually been thinking about for a few years. I'd seen it all over my social media page, but I guess in the back of my mind, I was thinking, no, I could never do that. I could never be on stage. I could never be so personal as well, or put myself that out there. So that was definitely a scary experience. But my sister previously had won the older version. So she'd won a pageant called Miss Nigeria UK. And that really inspired me because obviously that's my sister and I feel like she's always been a great role model in my life. So I thought, if she can do this, if she can be a finalist for this big pageant, then maybe I should try put myself out there. So that was, I guess, my journey of like discovering the pageant. And then sorry, can you ask me the second part of the question?
What has it been like now that you've won the title and that you are Miss Nigeria UK? Can you tell me about what that experience has been like?
Yeah, so Mr. and Miss Teen Nigeria UK, it was an amazing experience. I was with other young people from the Nigerian diaspora from across the UK. It was really nice to be able to connect with my culture, and also connect with what it means to be not just Nigerian and not just British, but a Nigerian living in Britain. I think that was the most important takeaway I took from it, and just being able to celebrate my culture in my everyday naturally and feeling, I guess, empowered by that. So that was probably my biggest takeaway from it, and also just being confident in who I am as a person. After the pageant, I've had so many opportunities. I've been able to go to a lot of other pageants and see what they have been like. I've been to Miss Caribbean and the Commonwealth and various other pageants, and it's just been amazing to see different women from all stages of life, from, I guess, 8 years old to 50 or so 60. Like, it literally doesn't matter how old you are because beauty isn't about age, and that's something I definitely learned as well doing pageantry. And also pageants aren't just about beauty. That was something I learned. Obviously, every woman who's been crowned is beautiful, but it's also about you as a person and everything that you're bringing to your community. So that was definitely an amazing experience.
That is such an empowering takeaway. Thank you so much for sharing that. I would also love to talk more about your work in politics and in activism. Can you tell me about some of the issues that you are really passionate about in your community or across the UK or maybe even the world?
Definitely. I'd say like one of my biggest passions is definitely tackling knife crime, especially in UK. I think that's a big issue which I've seen around me and around my friends and around my family. So that's definitely something that I've been seeking to tackle ever since I've had this platform. And this platform has really encouraged me to, keep advocating, keep speaking for other people who can't. And I've just been able to connect with amazing organizations which are doing incredible things for young people. So it's been really encouraging to see like young people my age lives transformed by the work of, people who may not see that they're actually completely changing someone else's life. So that's been really incredible. Other things that I'm passionate about is tackling inequality in the education system, which is why I've been working and a youth member of the Fair Education Alliance Youth Steering Group. For me, that's just been really important as someone who's experienced two sides of school, because I actually went to a private school and I've also been to a public school. So I ended up moving from a private school to a public school because of the racism that I experienced. So that really fueled my passion for tackling inequality in the education system, because I realized that, my story isn't actually that unique. A lot of people experience racism in white predominant institutions. So I felt it was my job as someone who's overcome that and been able to be where I'm now to speak and advocate for some of the other young people who haven't been able to overcome and come to a situation where they're able to be confident and speak on stages as I am. So yeah, that's two things that I'm really passionate about.
That is amazing that you've been able to use those past experiences to help others and to advocate for them. That is exactly what this podcast is about. So, thank you so much for sharing that. Are there any words of wisdom or maybe advice that you've gotten or a great quote that you've picked up that really motivates you to continue doing all of your work as an activist? Does anything like that come to mind for you?
Definitely. I'm actually going to bring up one right now. So there's a quote that I always write about, and it's from Maya Angelou. And she said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's something that I've resonated with my entire life, and especially going into activism and going into volunteering, that, people will always forget. People will forget that I'm talking about my experiences on a podcast. People will forget that I'm advocating sometimes, but they'll never forget how I've made them feel. Being able to transform another young person's life and being able to, I guess, actually make a tangible difference in another person's life, I think people, they can't forget that. So that's definitely a quote that I do live by.
I love that. That is such an important message to keep in mind and take with you. I have one more question for you, and I'm excited to get your thoughts. Lots of young people want to create change, but they may not know how to get started with that work. What advice do you have for those people who may be listening?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say social media and I guess Google, the power of internet is honestly your best friend. The amount of opportunities which I have found online is incredible. Mostly all of them I've found online. I think always starting at your school, if you're in school, is the best option, just because starting at your school executive, whatever your school has an offer, even it doesn't have to be necessarily activism, even if it's dance or singing or musical theatre, just finding, I guess, your people at school is always the best start, and then developing on that, finding what you're really passionate about and using that. It doesn't always have to be, I guess, like a really strong political movement that you're passionate about. It could be, a certain dance style which is unique. Whatever it is, I think is really important to just find what you enjoy and then look for it outside of your school, look for it in clubs nearby. Also, if you're interested in youth councils, most cities have a local youth council which is funded. So that is definitely another option. But yeah, I'd say the internet is your best friend.
I think Angel's energy and her passion for her work came through so much when I was talking with her. Angel really is being the change she wants to see in her community, and across the UK, and through her work, she's made herself a leader and a role model for so many people. Angel makes it her goal to connect with other young people and to try to transform their lives, which is a great goal to have because change comes when you recognize the way you make others feel. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can find Angel on Instagram and LinkedIn, and I've included both of those links in the description of this episode. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at Be The Change Media Network. I am working on expanding Be The Change Media Network, which means bringing you more inspiring stories from amazing guests. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could leave the podcast a rating and a comment because it will help these stories to reach, educate, and inspire more people. And I would also love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.